Jack's RPG Podcast. I'm in Max. Pursuing the RPG hobby with reckless abandon.
Hello. Thank you for joining us for season 25, episode 11 of Happy Jack's RPG Podcast. My name is Stu.
My name is Kimmy.
I'm Jason.
Is your mic unmuted? Wah, wah.
Yep.
Who are you again?
I'm Jason.
Woo! I didn't put the last one there. In this episode of Happy Jack's RPG Podcast, John from Iowa asks how to run a more deadly D&D combat. Andreas from Sweden asks how to make combats more interesting. And the third email
No, there's just two.
is Isaac in Texas sends us a GM confession and triumph.
Ooh.
But first, if you'd like to email us, you can email us at happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. That's happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. We're on the social medias. Medium is one, right? Media is plural.
Oh, it's all social media.
I know, but if it's
Medium
one,
first.
it's medium, right?
No.
Yes, a medium.
Yeah, a medium, several media.
Yeah.
Happy Jack's RPG, all one word. It's true.
I didn't say a thing. I did not.
I just told him it was true,
I
so
know.
we'd stop talking about it.
We have a forum, happyjacksforum.com. That's happyjacksforum.com. And we're also on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and MeWe, Happy Jacks RPG, all one word. If you'd like to watch the show live, you can go to happyjacks.org/live on Fridays at 7:12 p.m. and at Pacific time, and you can watch the show live right there on Twitch or the YouTubes.
Also, we've been working lately to make our website a little bit more mobile friendly. So if you go to happyjacks.org, you can find all our current running APs, links for this show. There's individual pages for each show, so if you just want to see the podcast episodes from specific shows or find a playlist, you can do all that there. For all the campaigns, forever.
Boy, that's a lot of work.
it's
Even the
a lot.
old ones, when I didn't name them right, and it was
Yeah, I went there and fixed them all.
HJAP
Like all of them.
01-003.
Even the Ghostbusters is there.
Wow.
Yeah, it's taken a lot of time, and slowly but surely, hurting all the cats, even
wonder-
the digital cats.
I wonder how many downloads that has now.
Probably
Ghostbusters.
a
Because at
lot.
one point it had 15,000 downloads.
And that was 3 years ago, 4
Yeah.
years ago.
I wonder if it's close to...
If you've never gone back and listened to it was Savage Worlds, right?
It was in Savage Worlds.
Savage Worlds Ghostbusters. It was our first AP ever. It is a hot mess when it comes to actual recording quality because it
Yes.
was literally us we're in the backyard. We ordered Chinese food at one point. It was just an experiment. It was terrible, but it was also 8 years ago or something like that. So there weren't a lot of APs, so there wasn't a lot of high quality to compare to. Most people were just recording themselves around a table with
Right.
a tape recorder or something. I know it wasn't tape recorder, just only 8 years ago, but you know what I mean. But it has.
What do you think, you're me?
Yeah. Yeah. Listen to your. Yeah. Okay.
I'm
But
excited to be the second oldest person in the room.
We got our old Victrola.
yeah.
Yeah.
But if you go, it's got some of the best role playing. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. There's a couple points where we were having so much fun. We were all just laughing so hard. You have to just wait for us to stop laughing. So it is great in its own magical way as long as you're ready for the quality. It's not what you're used to if you're used to our new APs. But yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Excellent. All right.
Blast from the past. I got nostalgic. I apologize for my rant.
That
It's mobile friendly now. So go
that was
check it out.
the experimental
Yeah.
AP. That was people said, you guys should do APs, you guys should do APs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, let's do an AP.
Yeah.
And I think I set 4 mics up and kind of had them in the corners of because we had
Yeah.
2 tables put together.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of players.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a
Just-
hot mess recording.
Hot mess. But it is where this all kind of started with the APs.
Yep. All right.
Humble origins.
Running a deadlier D&D combat from John in Iowa. Hi there, Happy Jackers. No insults. John from Iowa here. Question. I was wondering if you had GMing advice on what's the best way to run a game that is deadly but does not feel unfair or tedious to the players. I suspect this might be one of those things that sounds easy on paper. I mean, it can't be that hard to kill players, right? But markedly more difficult in practice. Allow me to explain with a personal anecdote. Story. I wouldn't consider myself an OSR D&D player, through and through, but I've always wanted for D&D to be a little more deadly and dangerous than what the more modern iterations of the game have become. Generally speaking, 5e characters are far too strong at level 1, and the game mechanics give you many opportunities to easily avoid death. Now that can be house ruled, of course, but usually people play 5e aren't really seeking that play style. Excuse me, sorry, Canada. They're more in the heroic fantasy side of it. That's why, as a GM, I've avoided running games that are too deadly because I know most of my players wouldn't be on board with that. They'd much rather build a character from level 1 to 20, as is the usual expectation. Quite recently, however, someone in a game shop I frequented offered to run a short 5e campaign that was, I quote, really fucking deadly. Do not, I repeat, do not get attached to your characters because they are going to die, end quote. Followed by ample, insidious laughter. Oh boy. There's a horror story and a question. I'm guessing.
Maybe.
What would give you that impression?
If someone warned you about that up
Yes.
front, though,
Yeah,
like,
well,
you've done that for games.
to be fair, Call Cthulhu,
Yeah. GURPS, Traveler.
yeah,
Like, deadly systems, like, we often are like, hey, like, come prepared. Like, this is a deadly system. Your character might die. Like, if people are, like, knowing that ahead of time and signing up for that, I don't know
Right.
if that's a horror story.
that's true. That's true. Hearing this, go ahead.
The rest of it is the horror story.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
Hearing this, I signed up immediately as that was exactly what I had been looking for. I didn't know much about the campaign other than it was a pre-written module that the GM had slightly modified to make deadlier. That sounded fine to me, so I waited for 5 or 6 more SAP players to join the game. Thankfully, it didn't take too long, and we managed to get going the following week. The GM had a brief Session 0 where, in addition to all the usual Session 0 stuff, the GM carefully explained that this is going to be a, quote, deadly, end quote, game. Everyone was on board. Fast forward a few sessions, the game is not at all what I expected. I don't think I'm the only one having a terrible time in it, but I won't speculate about the other players' feelings. I can only speak for myself. I've never wanted to get out of a game as much as I do for this one.
I know that feeling.
In a way, I got exactly what I wished for. The game was extremely deadly. We're only 5 sessions in, and every player has had at least one character die. Some are on their 3rd character.
Oh, man.
I mean, I'm potentially into that. That's, yeah.
I could see that. But that's not my complaint. That part is wonderful, actually. It's the whole point of the game. The problem I have that with the GM's implementation of said deadliness. It feels artificial and unfair. It's not that the adventure is genuinely challenging or dangerous. It's that in every step of the way, it feels as though the GM is out to get us. 2 main reasons for this. First, the GM makes the players roll everything, and I do mean literally everything. One player had to roll to successfully pull a knife out of a corpse.
Ugh.
What the fuck?
My table flip moment is coming in
no,
the middle
okay.
of this paragraph.
And cut herself in the process, receiving 2 points of damage. My first character died by falling down a steep set of stairs. I literally had
So
to...
it is possible.
It is... Well, it's first level, yeah.
The stairs. No. Stork and I have gotten into it over the fucking stairs damage. And whether you should be able to die falling down the stairs. I wish Stork was here right now so I could shake him.
Is there a character class that's a grandmother with a bad hip?
Yeah. Then there we go. Then we need to know, yeah.
I literally had to roll to go down the stairs. They weren't magical or slippery or unusual stairs in any way, just slightly steeper than regular
Fucking
stairs.
steep.
Okay, that's...
Jesus Christ. Maybe his character had never seen stairs.
That could be.
If you're a mermaid, it could be terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Does your character have feet? That is not made clear.
Were you on roller skates?
Yes.
Sir or madam or non-binary person? Who is it? Well, this is John, right? All right.
I think it was
I don't know.
I think. Is it John?
John.
yes.
John, yeah.
It's unclear.
All right. I literally had to roll to go downstairs. They weren't magical or slippery or unusual stairs anyway, just slightly steeper than regular stairs. It's gotten to the point where the PCs have become extremely passive since everything they do, however mundane, requires a roll.
You'd be fucking terrified.
I suspect my next character will die from failing to roll successfully to sit on a chair. Or maybe fail to drink a glass of water. Who knows?
Yeah,
you could drown.
You could drown, unless you're the mermaid, and then
you're fine.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why the mermaid fell down the stairs.
Yeah.
Secondly, there's one and only one solution to every problem. Oh boy. Puzzle, trap, obstacle, etc. Just one. It doesn't matter how hard we try to come up with possible solutions to every problem or how clever we get. And believe me, we've gotten really clever sometimes. Unless we come up with the exact one the GM is thinking. We're either going to die or receive damage. Period. Needless to say, we've almost never gotten it right. I don't know if I would call this railroading, since the GM never pushes us in any specific direction, i.e. we are free to do whatever we want, but it's bad, if not worse. That's like passive railroading.
Yep.
That's like, it's an open world, you can do whatever you want.
Except there's only one right answer.
There's only one right answer, and every other answer has dire circumstances, but you're totally welcome to do them. Yeah, passive railroading.
I don't know. I feel like that deserves its own term. Like, I think we need to come up with, like, a term for that.
Shit roading?
Bullseyeing.
Bullseye, maybe? I don't know. We will contemplate this, because it deserves...
Yeah, it's like you're shooting at a bullseye, and if you hit anything except the round one, it is going to explode in your face.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's like it would be like a rifle target that's made out of like super thick steel with one tiny hole right in the middle.
Grailroading.
There you go.
Oh, nice.
That's it.
Because you have to find the one holy artifact.
Grail roading. I like it.
Five. Nice. That's good. See, I knew we'd come up with a good
TM, that's my term.
Let's see, railroading,
Yeah.
the GM never puts something. At this point, I think we're pretty close to the end of the adventure, maybe 2 or 3 more sessions to go. So I think I will stick it out, as I don't want to hurt the GM's feelings. But send us an update, too.
Yeah. Stay in and just, like, be our mole and keep sending us...
Sure hope your GM doesn't listen to Happy Jacks.
I doubt that.
No, yeah.
Maybe he does. Who knows?
Maybe
he like is like watching YouTube while he's listening to it, and he's not actually hearing what we're saying. Plus, we both go to the same game shop, so I don't want to make things awkward for any other games we might have in the future. But it's going to be a painful 2 or 3 sessions.
Yeah.
Conclusion. While I strongly object to the way this particular GM is running their quote-unquote Dead League campaign, it made me wonder whether or not I would have done a better job of it. While I always say that I want to run and play in deadly games, I've never put that much thought into what exactly that entails. What are the details of it, and how do you prepare? What do you think? In my opinion, what should a deadly campaign be like? Mm-hmm. Is it the usual OSR adage of player skill instead of character skill? Or is it maybe a matter of roles like the GM was doing? I don't think it was what is your advice to designing adventures that are deadly but don't feel unfair? Or do you think that this sort of approach is outdated with no place in modern gaming? No. Honestly, except for the OSR community, I rarely encounter people who want to engage in this style of gaming. So maybe it's outdated. Well, this email is already getting too long, so I'm going to stop here. But then he goes on. I hope I have given you some food for thought and discussion. Cheers and happy drinking, John. P.S. I should clarify that I'm talking of deadliness as a play style rather than a system feature. Some systems, GURPS, are inherently more deadly than others. D&D, than others, i.e. D&D 5e. But that's a given. Instead, I'm asking more about the kind of deadliness that the GM can adjust up or down within a given system.
Right. Okay.
All right. So I want to take one thing off the table right now. The answer is not don't play D&D.
Yeah, he's specifically asking about D&D. Yeah, that would not be helpful.
So we'll clear that right out, because I understand the problem of like in Shadowrun, I wanted magic to work better. Right. And it's inherent, like there isn't, I can't just not play Shadowrun, like I fixed magic,
right.
Sort of. Like, you know.
Well, house ruling is a long tradition in role-playing.
Yes. Right. And I think the first thing I wanted to say too, John, is you definitely got off on the right foot by saying you knew your players wouldn't want that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the fact that this DM is saying like, hey, anybody want to get killed a bunch? Mm-hmm. Come sign up over here. Okay, that's great. We talked about it ahead of time. You know the tone. You know what to expect. but that's not the way to kill characters.
No.
Like,
No.
If that's what you want, like you don't just have arbitrary roles. Like, to my mind, D&D is extremely modular. If your encounter with 4 bandits is too easy, make it 8 bandits.
Right.
And that's maybe something that isn't immediately obvious, because a lot of these kind of pre-scripted encounters come very specifically tagged for that. But when you do that, suddenly there are more targets, especially at low levels. You don't have a lot of AoE effects or multiple attacks. And just the fact that the DM is going to roll 8 times and your party is rolling 4 or 5 times is a huge disadvantage. And you don't have to tweak the rules. You don't have to house rule anything. You just turn up the encounter a little bit, which is a I would say do that by adding little enemies and not just making your dragon bigger, because the boss fights in D&D don't scale super well. Well, they do scale; they just stomp you. But it turns into a binary, like you're winning or it's a TPK.
Yeah.
Right? So like the big bosses are so finely tuned, it's real hard to mess with those. But like if you're going against a skeleton, give them 4 skeletons and like a 4-armed skeleton mutant, or like a minotaur skeleton.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Right.
great. Let's just throw in some big stuff because that's all in the monster manual.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think when people talk about like the deadliness of a campaign, or I want to play in a deadly campaign, nobody's talking about stairs. Like nobody, like that's not what we mean. Like we want the big epic campaign with the big battles and like the giant fights and you save everybody in the town and that sort of stuff. Like we want the epicness level to go up is like probably what it means. Like that's a better description rather than the deadliness.
Yes.
We want the epicness to go up.
yeah, but when you're standing in a field of your fallen foes and it's just they're all around you, you're like, yes, we won this and we barely survived, and that's
Some
all
of us
really
didn't.
cool.
Yeah, and that can be really cool even for role players. Like that's a super powerful thing to have happen to a character.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No. And I was just saying to say it. Everybody's like into that. Like, okay, yeah, here's my character. Oh, they died epically in battle. This is going to be their second cousin who comes to help revenge or whatever. Or this is the kid who they saved who now wants to help. Is inspired by their tragic death. Whatever their cool story is. Like that sounds fun. That sounds really epic. That sounds like a D&D game I'd actually really love. I do not want to die on stairs or sitting on a chair or...
I don't mind a heroic death in a game where we know ahead of time, like, hey, like in some games, like you sit down to play Tales from the Loop, like your characters aren't going to die. That's not the point of the game.
Yeah.
Right. But something I should say too, like I'm cavalierly saying, oh, just throw a bunch more minions in, and that can be a little tedious to manage.
That's what I was going to say.
Couple things you can do with that. One, you can use the Mook rules from 4th edition and have like put 16 skeletons and half of them only have 1 hit point, and if you hit them at all. Right,
But they're still
just down.
just as dangerous.
Right. The other thing, though, is if you have a bunch of minions who have health that has to be tracked individually and all that sort of stuff, grab like the rings off the top of a milk jug or another bottle or anything like that, or also like Dapper Devil or something makes these little stands you can put your minis on, and you can have different colors for each mini. So you have like the
I think
red
Aaliyah
skeleton, the blue
makes
skeleton.
those too that are
Sure.
magnetic.
There's a bunch of those like minion markers is basically what the term is. And then you have your blue skeleton, your red skeleton, your yellow skeleton. You can track all that. The other thing the GM can do is one of the things that feels a little laggy in D&D is it very much feels like it is always one person's turn, right? Like it's going around and you're just waiting for your turn to come around. Even if you're invested and interested in paying attention, it's still not your turn, right? Like and most games have that effect. One of the things D&D can do to speed that up is have one of your players take care of initiative, right? Like create an initiative tracker, and they're the one calling who's on deck and whatever, and actually do that. In D&D, I think you're going to benefit from being a little bit more mechanical and board gamey about it, of like, okay, who's on deck, who's in the...
That way the GM just has to worry about the bad guys.
Right. And just go ahead and put little tank cards up that says, the skeleton's AC is 16. They have 8 hit points.
Right.
You just tell me. And they're susceptible, they're vulnerable to bludgeoning damage. Like, oh, okay, that's kind of stuff we would know anyway. It's not a big deal to reveal that. Like, that's not the point of the story or the mystery.
And everyone figures it out in like 2 turns.
Right.
Exactly.
So
We can do math.
just put it up there. Everyone can roll, roll your attack, right away. You don't have to ask if you hit or not, and move on, right? So it becomes a little less tedious that way.
One of the things that we did with 4th edition that what was his name? He was a listener, a guy who used to listen from Brazil to send us this. Have the monsters, especially if you're adding more monsters, obviously combat's going to take a little longer and you're going to risk tedium. Have the monsters do max damage with every attack, but half their hit points. And that basically makes the math of the amount of damage they're going to do while they're on the board about the same.
Interesting.
And that would speed it up, because that way the GM's not rolling damage, and they're more deadly, but they're not there as long.
Yeah.
So, and that also puts us some more urgency on the players. It's like these things are going to do max damage every time they hit us.
Yeah.
So that might actually make combat slightly more interesting.
Yeah.
The one thing that I noticed about 5th edition is the one where you have to fail 3 death checks, correct?
Yes.
To
Yeah, you get
actually
death saves. If you roll a 1, it counts as 2, though. So,
Okay.
And I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
The first death save was a 1, and now they only have 1 chance left. And
That's exciting. I like that.
yeah,
Right.
And there are. It's not John's not wrong. There are a lot of heals. There are a lot of ways to get hit points back that will bring you back in the fight. I think because most. Like John said, most gaming tables want that. They want close to death, but probably not permanent character death.
Yeah.
And that's true. But if you swing in there and you go down and the cleric is swamped with 4 baddies and there's no way they can get over to you without taking 4 opportunity attacks, like you might not get up.
Right. That's another good point. Make sure you attack the healers.
Yep.
Actually, because the
Yeah.
healers always lag in the back.
Yeah.
Walk past the fighters and go attack the healers.
Yeah,
that scares
especially-
everyone.
Especially if you're rolling like undead minions, they could have a sense for it. Like the holy man, like rip them apart. That could even be an in fiction justified move.
Yeah. Well, and it's also like good tactics, and I like some undead and stuff maybe not be like the wisest, but once you get to a certain level, like I feel like most bad guys would be like able to figure out the tactic who are able to figure out at a table. I don't know. Like if I can figure out in an MMO to like take out the healer in a raid first, I'm pretty sure that actual monsters could be like, hey, that guy's making him better. Stop that thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
There's a piece of art from Shadowrun of like an in fiction graffiti wall that just says "Geek the Mage first."
Nice. It's true.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And also go after the ranged DPS guys.
Yep.
Actually, go chase
Get
them
them
down.
on the run. Make them move. Make them use all that movement they got.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're not outthinking your players, they might as well be playing an MMO.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Give lots of options.
Yes.
All right. I hope we helped you. And let us know what happens in the last 2 or 3 sessions if you're campaigning, please.
Campaign is a
Campaign.
great, great term. Oh my god.
I just accidentally coined a term.
did. Oh my god.
I mean, it's not as good as Grail Roading, but it's
It's
pretty
not as good as Girl Rip.
I don't know.
Can we talk about my campaign?
All right.
All right. Thank you very much there, John.
How to make... Oh.
Go.
No, I'll do the last one. You do the next one.
Dang it, I wanted the last.
Did you? Okay. Fine, I'll do it. All right.
That's fine. I'll take this one.
Okay.
How to make combats more interesting, Andreas in Sweden. Hi, Jackers. It's I, the instigator of the Meaningful Campaigns meme.
Yay.
Yep. A long time ago, I wrote into the show quoting Gygax and inquired about your thoughts on the matter. It took on a life of its own, that missive, methinks.
Yes.
I had played multiple games in settings with their own calendars, and where a lot of the background noise would be a result of what time it was, of the holy day, of saints, harvest time, and such like. In settings like that, a campaign calendar and keeping track of time is quite useful. Yes, because it matters.
Yes.
If you do develop games like Tappy suggests in 25-09, that's episode 25-09, where you discuss Stu's old article on GM advice, by letting the world building generate events, then such a time record would be a thing you'd need.
Yes.
Meaningful? Well, we'll just let that one slide, shall we? A question.
Okay.
How to make combats interesting. I've found that one way to make combats way more interesting is to have a lot of scenery. When combats involve chandeliers, jumping over tables, tossing cutlery, and stumbling over marbles on the floor, it all seems so much more fun. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Do you use that much, and do you have any suggestions for how to involve more of that in our games so they feel like that wild, funny fight in a Jackie Chan movie and not just, I rolled a hit, oops, that may have been two. Take a drink, take two. Cheers, Andreas from Sweden. All right.
And yes, that has definitely taken on a life of its own. But thank you. You're now part of the Happy Jacks history forever. Or however long we use.
Bystanders.
Oh.
Put people in there, like especially if the party is sort of on the heroic side,
Yeah.
which they really are.
Yeah.
But if they are on the heroic side, innocent bystanders, great way to make a more interesting combat.
Yeah, where you have to get around to try to protect them. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or make sure that your missed hits don't accidentally hit them.
Yeah, another thing people often overlook when you're putting in your like scenery stuff, which yes,
Right.
triple times yes, scenery, trees, doors that don't quite open all the way, stairs, all that kind of stuff. But one of the things that can really accelerate this is change in elevation in whatever way you can. Maybe there's a steep wall, and this is double true if you have the rogue with the slippers of spider climbing, or the wizard who can levitate, or whatever the setting is, right? I'm still in like D&D mode.
Right.
But like changing the elevation also can change the stakes a whole bunch. Like if a harpy comes down and picks you up and pulls you up into the sky, and you're like, no, don't let me go, right? And suddenly you're grappling with a harpy, but you don't really want to move anywhere, right? Like that is, that suddenly gets interesting. I mean, you don't want to put it in a situation where the character's just arbitrarily going to be killed for no reason.
Stairs.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you don't want a stairs kill.
Yeah.
But the changing elevation, on a cliff where it goes down to the ocean, especially if it's a fallable distance, boosh, you go into the water, then that's suddenly changed the scene, and
Right.
it can really create dynamism. with
Yeah,
that.
I did one of the combats in the 4th edition campaign I ran. There was it was basically a cavern, and there was a sort of like overhanging ledge that was too high for anyone to actually jump up to.
Yeah.
And there was one path that went up there, and there was a cluster of bad guys right around the sort of the entrance to that path. And that basically was a bunch of archers up there. And they had to figure out, okay, there's guys on the ground we have to deal with as well, but then we need to get up there because those guys are going to wreck us. So yeah, that elevation thing is fantastic.
Yeah. It really it just turns the volume up.
The other thing that I've done occasionally is having moving.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Having either like there's a cart moving along,
Oh,
or
yeah.
if it's boats.
Yeah.
I've done that with ships where there's two
That's
ships
very
moving
fun.
along
Yeah.
and people are shooting at each other, and it's everything. Every turn, everything changes
We
slightly.
had to jump back and forth. Yeah, that was
Right.
And there's more than one game where there are classes who will benefit from not having to move. Like if a wizard gets to just like plant their feet in, I can't remember what game it is, but like you could do, like in Shadowrun, you could do a bigger spell if you don't have to move. You can jam out a bigger spell. But if you force that mage to move, suddenly they can only have a simple action instead of a complex action in it.
Okay.
And you could like speed cast a shitty spell, but not a full complex action spell.
Right.
And so, yeah, that like forcing that kind of movement can be really, really good. Another thing I like to do is to have some sort of obvious countdown. And don't have a countdown that nobody knows about.
Yes.
Yeah,
That sucks.
there's no tension there.
Yeah, that doesn't help
But
anything.
like if the launch countdown is going and there's a big computer with giant digits on it, right? That's great. If the magic circle is slowly gaining, glowing sections as it's like going to complete the circle, like,
Yeah.
and you can see each turn another section lights up. Like,
Or the
oh my
lava
God.
is slowly
Yep.
filling up and about to
Yeah.
crest over the
Yep.
dam.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of that kind of stuff can really make it more interesting because you're also now you have somebody go, well, like I could fight, but like can I figure something out with Arcana with that magic
Yeah.
circle? Like, sure you can. I'm glad you're not casting Fireball right now.
Right.
Yeah, I love that. I love when there's like multiple problems for them to solve, so it's not just like hack and slash kill. Like they have to solve this other bigger problem before while they're fighting things, and I think that's cool because it also gives opportunities for different people. They like no matter what you do, especially in D&D, certain classes shine in combat a little bit more than others. So it gives a moment to shine for people who may not be like the baddest ass fighter. So it's kind of cool for especially people who aren't like min-maxing their characters. They make a very interesting character who may not be the most effective in combat. But that gives them cool opportunities to be just as important to this victory than the people who are really great at combat.
Yeah. I will say, if you put a chandelier in my game, I will run from
Swing
it.
from it?
Yeah, swing from it. That's the word.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
Don't-
fantastic.
If you don't want me to swing from the chandelier, do not put it in the game with me.
No, I'm already like, how can I get marbles in the next combat
Yeah.
I run? That's amazing.
Yeah.
Because that's marbles is more than difficult terrain. There needs
Yeah.
to be a new
Yeah,
rule for
it's like
marbles.
aggressive terrain.
Right. That'd be like if you're barefoot and it's
Yeah.
like Legos
Yeah.
Yeah, oh.
Yep.
or
Bad.
D4s.
D4s.
That's the other thing you could do is catch the PC, like get an ambush. If you can have like an in fiction, like the PCs, totally raided this last town they were in, and the innkeeper was like, "You almost burned down my inn. I'm sending mercenaries after you, like because I don't want you to come back to my town."
Right.
Right. Even if it's somebody going out there to scare them and they'll like try to sneak up while they're sleeping or something like that. Don't do the thing where you're catching the paladin without their armor. Right. That's actually not the fun part of that. Like
No.
it's like that's less fun because in that same situation, the rogue and the wizard and the sorcerer all get to do what they normally do, and there's this one person who's like, wait, hang on,
Where's my squire?
Yeah. Gotta strap on all my armor. But having an ambush set up in fiction, hopefully by something the character's choices led to, of
Yes.
like somebody they pissed off,
Right.
or threatening them. Maybe the local lord has sent a constabulary of
Yeah.
like, well, you have to come speak to Lord Poncypants.
Mm-hmm.
And and if you don't, then you're going to be in big trouble. So it's not even starting as a fight, but they
Right.
can choose. Like, do they want to fight out of that situation, or do they want to go talk to the
Right.
whatever?
Yeah, I think having the combats have more lasting consequences. Like if you wreck an inn, like you do have to. The innkeeper's going to be pissed. You're not going to be welcome back in the town. Can also make like combat's more interesting. Like a lot of times in games, like we don't really think about that. It's like, oh, we wrecked this town. Oh, but they're grateful, right? It's like, no,
No, not
not
really,
really.
no. They brought you in to keep their town from getting wrecked.
Yeah.
Right.
And you beat the bad guy, but you also wrecked their town worse than the bad guys ever did.
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be interesting consequences of that. Because
Mm-hmm.
that can then, like, when that happens, then their next fight in their next town, they're going to be more careful. Like, they might not do as well against the bad guys because they actually are going to think about the collateral damage and things
Oh,
like
you're
that.
an optimistic GM.
I know.
Well, you give them the option to
Yeah.
consider. If they want to consider it,
Yes.
then they can.
And then if they don't, you just give them more consequences. Like, oh, now there's 2 towns who've hired mercenaries who are after you.
Yeah. You are now bandits.
Yes. Welcome.
All right.
All right.
Thank you very much, Andres from Sweden. And yes, that is a gem of a Gygax quote.
Yeah.
GM confession and triumph from Isaac.
Isaac in Texas.
Don't read his email
I
address. I don't know why I copied that.
I don't know.
Or the date and the time.
I won't.
Or to Stu.
Greetings, clever wording affiliated to Happy Jacks. Isaac from Texas here with a short, but not really as it started short, tale of recognizing wrong and reconfigured rules. Drink. Feel free to stop when you have a remark
I'm
on the
out.
situation. Postscript contains a question. I'm running a D&D 5e campaign for some friends of mine, and prior to this story, we have been going through the completion of the Red Box Starter Set. They had a great time. Great stories were made, and characters were immortalized.
Brad.
Yes. This time around, the group is in a new setting with new characters, and it has been falling flat each session. Between not knowing what their characters do despite weeks of downtime and ability to look at their full class printouts that I gave them, people still had issues knowing what their character could even do. Around session 4, and almost 3 months of waiting between sessions,
Oh, that
I let
sounds
my
hard.
frustration get to me. The current game ended with me rushing them to the end spot and calling the game there. And that was when I saw my wrongdoing. Forgive me, Jackers, for I have sinned. I have played a lot of games. I feel like we need to do like a dice shape.
Yeah.
Something different.
Yeah.
Oh, no, picking up a beer.
Yeah.
That's our blessing.
The face of a D20.
Oh, no, it's...
Oh, yeah. There
you
you go.
must seek the railroad.
Yes. Bringing it back. Good job, Jason.
To
Sorry.
me. It has to be about
To
me.
you, yes. All right, sorry. Forgive me, Jackers, for I have sinned. I played a lot of games and a lot of characters. Tabletop is my hobby more than anything else, and I've been expecting them to have the same level of enthusiasm and to know the basics as well as I did. And when this dawned on me, I called the group back and apologized. I told them it wasn't fair of me to expect them to behave in a way that I would, seeing as how I've been doing this longer than they have. They all took it in stride, said they had fun, and apologized for now at least to learning their own character. And apologized for now at least to learning their own characters.
Can we pause there for a second?
Yeah.
This is a fucking masterclass of how to handle
Yeah.
like an upset in your group.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Like, what?
It's a freaking mea culpa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, wow, this is amazing. You like did a bad and then apologized and explained and like, what a grown up.
This is what we millennials call adulting. Well done.
You're gerunding wrong.
What? Shut up. All right, I don't know what you're talking about. The triumph actually came.
I'll explain it later.
Okay. The triumph actually came in the next session.
It's a grammar joke.
Oh, I know that. Yes. I know adulting is not actually a thing, but it's funny.
You're gerunding wrong.
I know. It's funnier the second time you say it, Stu. Thanks. All right. Anyway, sorry. Email.
See a
The
gerund.
okay, stop. They can Google it. It's fine. The triumph actually came in the next session. It's not funny anyway. The oldest of the brothers
It's just freaking
at the
hysterical.
table, the group is made up of my sister and 3 friends who are all brothers, is playing a bard. However, in character creation, he wanted to be more of a tank role, getting people to focus on him and drawing attention away from the rest of the party. Essentially, a very charismatic brick wall. However, I could see during the sessions that he kept trying to do bard things. And this player is about as bard as Stork is good at rolling dice.
Oof.
Oh, man.
Ooh, I could see that this was bothering him. And even though he said it felt like he couldn't do anything in the game, despite having amazing gear and interesting skills.
Well, he's a bard.
At the start of the session, I asked for his character sheet. After a quick adjustment, I handed it back. He looked at it and then looked at me. Okay, the class says leader. I nod and looked at him dead in the eyes. You are not a bard. Your character skills may be bard-like, but you are not a bard. You're a leader. You're the face of this group and the only one, and the one they look to for leadership. You have been a manager for retail before. Don't be a bard. Be a leader.
Nice.
And I'll be damned if his character didn't do a total 180. All of a sudden, he's talking more, interacting more, jumping in front of swords to save party members, and leading the charge. I've never been so proud of a player stepping up to the challenge. We talked after the game, and I'm thinking I'm going to toss class structure out the window. He has ideas of what his character would be capable of, and I see no reason to let the rules of the game keep him from making a class befitting a leader.
Yeah, don't let the rules hold you back.
Yeah.
That's right, man.
Thanks for the read, Isaac from Texas. Drail88 on the forums. P.S. Have you ever done anything like this, where you change the method or meaning on a class or something similar to help a player get into the role?
I never have that problem with people getting into their roles.
You're a little spoiled.
Yeah.
We did actually do this when we did 4E. We did it for I don't remember what the name of the class was. Because she was a Raven Queen, and it was like before the Raven Queen splat.
They hadn't
books had
come up with anything for the Raven
So
Queen yet.
was she a cleric of the Raven Queen? She was a cleric of the Raven Queen, I think.
So you needed like some bonus spells and that.
Yeah, but also there was just parts of it that were like not quite what I was picturing, and they hadn't come out with anything. So like
Is that when we moved to GURPS and we remade your character as...
we did that too, and she
Okay.
ended up being almost like a necromancer, but like
Almost. Not quite a necromancer, but...
not evil. Yeah, it wasn't like I know the Raven Queen now. They made her evil. It's fucking awful. I hate it.
Did
But
they really?
yeah, she's bad.
They didn't in 4th.
Troubled.
They killed her in 4th. In 4th edition,
She's
Orcus
kinda-
kills her.
She's
Yeah.
mad about that. Like she's legitimately
Yeah,
annoyed.
yeah.
So like,
But I came up with
I
this.
get it.
I came up with this cool concept, and I've talked about this before. Sorry, I'm just gonna because I loved it.
That was a long time ago, though. No one remembers.
No, it's great. But it was like the kind of the crone to the maiden mother crone. It was like death is part of the life, and like it's part of the natural cycle of things. So it was like you need to embrace death because it's also part of life. So it wasn't necromancy it was very cool. I like, and I've been looking. People have asked me before to post the thing, and it was so long ago. I haven't found the big thing I wrote about it.
I
But we
recall your
tweaked-
character was really against necromancy, specifically because it
interrupts
disturbed the natural order.
It's almost like if life kind of like you're alive and then you're dead and things grow out of that. It's sort of a circular
Exactly.
Life.
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah. So death
Like
was
a-
the thing that allowed life to happen because
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I'm singing it.
I got your reference.
Yeah, and that's okay. YouTube will never notice that. It's not close enough.
What, Circle of Pooh?
Oh, well, that's,
I was doing the South Park version.
okay.
Oh, I don't know
That's-
about that one.
That's fantastic.
But yeah, she like necromancers are actually the thing she hated most because she saw them as like opposite of what the Raven Queen was about. But yeah, we did a lot of tweaking on that, and then we did tweaking again in GURPS for it because even though I had what was technically like necromancy powers, like we flipped them on their head, and it wasn't like I could speak to the dead, but it wasn't like in our fiction. It wasn't me like pulling them from death. It was
Oh
like,
no, you couldn't summon them, but
No.
like if someone had recently died, you could still like speak with their shade
and
or
we
something.
like changed the way it kind of worked so it wasn't me like pulling their shade from the afterlife. It was like me having like a portal to them or something. So we've done tweaking for flavor a couple times. Did you have?
I'm just picturing like opening the window to the afterlife and
Hey!
leaning out like, "Oi,
Hey, what are you doing?
yeah, what's going on down there?"
Yeah.
Bobcat says necromancy raises too many issues.
It can be. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, that's very
It
cool.
made me lol.
Took me a second to get that,
Me too.
which I appreciate.
Yeah. Smart humor.
But my favorite is, it's hard to raise a family. Necromancer. Not if you bury them close to the... Wait, what were you talking about? So in D&D, I'm really hesitant to tweak any of the mechanics.
Mechanics, yes.
Because it's so deeply play tested. And like, if you just change the name of this to the leader and suddenly the class makes sense, great. That's terrific. But there's like the battle master in D&D, the fighter class, probably does exactly what your buddy wants to do. In that it's tanky. You get all the heavy armor and shields and shit that you don't get as a bard usually. And it also has all this like battlefield leadership movement. Now, if you're still trying to work out how to be a fighter with charisma, then yeah, maybe bard somehow is the thing. And yeah, this tweak, suddenly everyone's having fun. You did it right.
Oh, yeah.
You did the right thing. Absolutely. I'm just always cautious about tweaking anything mechanical, because a few times that I've done it, it'll end up being fun, and then suddenly this person is either real good or real bad at everything, and it like
Right.
usually swings. And if they get real good at everything, everyone else at the table's like, "Oh man, this sucks. Why am I even here?"
Right.
That person could do everything. Or if they get bad, then that also is not fun. So
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, well, I want to do the thing. And then suddenly you have a bunch of broken characters. Because you can't be like, oh, yeah, they can make up their stuff, but you can't.
yeah, you got to make sure you bring enough for everyone.
Yes.
So in the forum, someone just said that they bought the Pathfinder 2nd edition.
Oh yeah, that's a tome.
$110?
Yeah.
I just saw it on Amazon for like. I thought that can't be.
I mean,
Yeah.
maybe that's like a compilation with all splat books and everything and a bunch of
No,
other
I
extra
I don't
stuff.
think so.
He,
No,
that's somebody. He
that's
said.
just the rule book.
Oh, wow.
I'd say the rule book through the wood chipper, except I spent $110 on Pathfinder 2nd edition.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe he means on the whole.
Oh,
He
yeah.
spent that much on Pathfinder 2e.
Also, it
it's
might be
over
shipping.
over 600 pages.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a
640 pages.
doorstop.
wow.
Yes. Hopefully, it's not as much of a doorstop as Traveler 5, which is a similar amount of.
Yeah. Major shade for that. We were very excited and very disappointed.
Yes.
I mean, the art in it is fantastic. I saw it at
Yeah.
Gen Con. It was gorgeous.
Traveler 5.
Oh, no,
Pathfinder.
Pathfinder.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't think
P2E. I don't like playing Pathfinder, so I'm not going to play it. But the art was gorgeous. I'll give it that. For sure.
Jim mentioned that they did some mechanical changes to it, like there's different kinds of hit points or something like that.
That's interesting.
Which I think is they've made some changes that people wish they had come out with this and then did Starfinder.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're going to have to do Starfinder
Starfinder
2E.
2, right.
Oh, it's 110 in Australian dollars. Radio Row
okay.
says.
Right.
Yeah, I've heard they also got rid of racial bonuses,
Yeah.
is one of the things I heard
it's
about.
tied to like background and training and
Which I like a lot better.
Which
They
makes
kinda had a-
way more sense.
They have
Yeah.
a hybrid of that in Starfinder. Because I've
Yeah.
been reading through Starfinder.
Yeah,
and they-
I mean, a lot of RPGs are talking about this. It's a thing that's out there. Like, just going around saying all elves are like this and all orcs are like this is nonsense, right?
right.
Like
Well, because they don't say all humans are like this.
right. Well, I mean, they kind of do, right? You all get the
You're
same.
good at
bonus.
everything.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you just get add plus 2 to any stats.
Right, but you get to pick. You're like, hey.
Right.
Yeah, so there's like that customization aspect, which I'm really excited about, because if I want to play the short Wookiee, maybe I can't rip off arms, but
Right.
who knows?
Right. There are plenty of Wookiees who don't work out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like $12 USD.
Well,
No.
Rough. Okay.
Not quite, but yeah.
Although I am shocked that that's over a 2-to-1 exchange rate.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that
Well,
good.
and shipping and stuff too. I'm sure. It's
Oh,
shipping.
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Cool.
That's going to be bigger.
All right.
all right.
Let's see. We got Call of Cthulhu on Sunday.
Yes, Call of Cthulhu this Sunday.
You haven't watched or listened to the last Call of Cthulhu game. Listen to the
Yeah.
last Call of Cthulhu game.
It gets intense though, so like content warning, like
Oh yeah.
yeah, be aware that game, and we're putting a content warning on like when we post it.
If you have a problem with violence against dogs or
No.
your gym,
no,
you
it's-
probably shouldn't.
There's not really violence against dog. The dog gets hit one time, but it's not. It does not get hurt.
Okay.
But there are.
It does get hurt.
Well, not. It's not.
just
It's,
saying.
no dog death happens in the show.
Okay.
Not actual dogs.
It will not. That's a line.
Oh,
That's
well, if
not
they're
happening.
like demons or something,
No,
that
no,
just
no,
look
no,
like
the
dogs.
NPC dogs, but they're not like. I didn't bring a dog in here and like.
no.
Well, hey, I don't want to pretend hurting dogs either.
No.
Oh, it was losing sanity is a bitch.
Yeah.
All right.
So my character has a dog, and then someone else had like a moment where they started seeing things.
3 of the 4 characters lost their shit because they
Yes.
failed their sanity rolls and took big sanity hits. And poor Pooja's running around like those Chinese spinning plates trying to like make sure that no one is
Yeah.
murdering anyone. Or
She saved the dog. She did a great job.
she did save the dog.
Yes.
Yeah,
and everyone feels really bad now that they are like calmed down
Yeah,
and fixed now.
I'm sure.
But there are things like at one point, one character is contemplating suicide. There is violence against people in it, which seems to be less problematic. than
role-playing games.
Yeah. So, but just FYI. But it's very fantastic, and it was very compelling. Also, very exciting. Very soon, we are starting a masks campaign.
Oh, cool.
So it's very, very exciting. So keep an eye out for that coming up. And we're actually going to do something interesting with that. We're going to actually play every Wednesday. So we're going to be trying to have a weekly game and see how that goes.
Yeah.
See how long we can actually keep that scheduled for.
Yeah, which is worth noting because we've gotten feedback from viewers before that's like,
Yeah.
okay, this every other thing, like I forget to download it and I'm not listening to the show that's on the opposite week and then I forget and blah, blah, blah. So if you're one of the ones who's been wishing we had a weekly show, get out there and pimp the show.
Yeah.
Like, because this is an experiment and
Yeah.
I'm excited to see how it works out
Yeah.
because it's always fun to try new stuff.
Yeah, and it's important to know that we haven't chosen not to do weekly games because we don't listen to you, but it's literally because we're all adults who like again, this is a hobby for us.
Yeah.
We don't make money at this. Our amazing Patreons make it so we can keep the air conditioning running and the internet running in this little garage studio of ours. But a lot of us have real lives. There's kids involved, things like that. So a lot of us can't do every single week for that long of time. But we managed to find 4 adults without lives who can show up every Wednesday.
No jobs.
No, we all have jobs.
Well, okay. Do you know something about my job that I don't?
No,
Yeah.
I don't.
We're teachers, is really what it is. We have very predictable schedules. We are not the ones in the industry. But anyway, so yes, we're trying that, and that was completely a tangent that we didn't need to go down. But there you go. Lots of background information.
Also, Tales from the Flood is
Yeah.
spinning up pretty soon.
Oh yeah.
So that's going to be like the sequel to the Tales from the Loop game. So the same group of players plus one more, and they're playing their same characters but aged up.
13 years.
Nice.
So if you remember Crash, Jackson Clay is going to be 27 now, and like a grown up with a job.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, a 20-something with a job.
Yeah. Well,
Now, the what's the title of the game going to be? Because it was Insert Coin.
I think it's Floodwater.
Floodwater? Okay.
Is the name of the campaign, and I'm really excited. I think that's going to end up being opposite Shadowrun. So, like when the other Monday show. So when that one wraps up, then Floodwater comes in.
Yeah. It's going to be very exciting.
And I've been reading and prepping Vampire 5th Edition.
Ooh, that's fun.
We're going to be very excited about that.
Because Traveler, I don't know how many sessions of Traveler are left. Some? I don't know. I can't really tell right now.
We don't know.
It could be 3. It could be 8. I don't know.
We're very
I don't think it's 8.
unpredictable.
I don't think it's 8.
Stu's like, I have no idea what's going to happen.
I don't. I figured out what's going to happen next time because I give you a cliffhanger.
That's
I'm
a
like,
fun place to be in as a GM, though.
Oh, it is.
I
Absolutely.
personally like that.
That's my favorite kind.
Yeah.
Is
I don't want to have something charted out and I know exactly what's going to happen. I'm like, what? Why am I here? I'll go write a novel.
well, that's what you do for first session 1.
Yeah,
and then
sure.
that gets thrown out the window.
Yeah.
But then once the players have their plans and you kind of know what direction they're going, then you can actually kind of start prepping stuff that might actually happen in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We can't.
and then of course.
We avoid any of that predictability.
Right. Well, and then the cliffhangers also
Yeah,
allow me concretely
To know
at least
exactly
prep something for the beginning
What
part
we
of
will
the next
start.
session.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good plan. I thought you were doing that for like dramatic, but no, that's
No,
planning.
no, that's
Oh,
that's so I can
smart.
so I can scratch my prep
Awesome.
itch.
I like
Awesome.
that.
All right.
All right.
What's it say? Closing songs. It's closing song. What's that?
That's a title.
Oh, it's a title. Oh, it's
Yeah.
over here.
Didn't you organize that?
Yeah, but I forgot. It's been a while.
Oh, like a
Thank you for joining us for season 25, episode 11 of Happy Jack's RPG Podcast. My name is Stu.
week. My name is Kimmy.
I'm Jason.
And thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next Friday, 7:12 p.m. Pacific time, right here at happyjacks.org/live. Thank you very much. We'll leave the song.
Yes.
I should probably leave the music up and turn the mics off.
The show won't start on time, the wait won't be in vain. For the hosts will drink and yammer on till no emails remain. Oh, Happy Jacks, our patron saint of the skillful game master. Oh, guide us well with yes ending to avert a disaster. Whether fate or GURPS or millions of apocalyptic acts, fellow listeners and every host will always have our backs. Unless you're playing D&D and then they'll give you crap.
My son John was tall and slim and he had a leg for every limb. But now he's got no legs at all, for he ran a race with a cannonball with me Roo-dum-da. Father Riddle-da, act Father Riddle with me Roo-dum-da.
Oh, were you deaf? Oh, were you blind when you left your two fine legs behind?
Or was it sailing on the sea? There were your two fine legs right down to your knee with me Roo-dum-da. Father Riddle-da, act Father Riddle with me Roo-dum-da. I was not deaf, I was not blind when I left my two fine legs behind. Nor was it sailing on the sea. There were me two fine legs right down to me knee with me Roo-dum-da. Father Riddle-da, act Father Riddle with me Roo-dum-da. For I was tall and I was slim and I had a leg for every limb. But now I've got no legs at all, for you can't win a race with a cannonball with me Roo-dum-da. Father Riddle-da, act Father Riddle with me Roo-dum-da. With me Roo-dum-da. Father Riddle-da, act Father Riddle with me Roo-dum-da.
The preceding program has been a presentation of the Angry Folk Media Empire.
I've got information, man. New shit has come to light.
How's that for a topper?